Well, I was 16. It was my English class, and guy in my class that I grew up with, he shot up the school. Yeah, he was after my teacher. It was our homeroom, and I was running to class, and when it erupted, and he shot, I think, 16 people. 3 died. It was like the first modern high school shooting. I mean, it really it basically set the tone. It was kind of the template for so many shooters that came afterwards. It's a hell of a long time ago, but it happened here. And so that basically I had to hide in the class. The teacher saved my life. He grabbed me, and it's been this thing that's kind of haunted me my whole life. I really feel like it's sort of changed me. And also it was a time when people didn't talk about trauma. They didn't understand what those things did.
Right.
Canada was much more English. It was very much stiff upper lip and move on. If you don't talk about it, it will go away. And it doesn't really go away. I mean, you put it in its place, because that's what trauma is, But it changes you. Like, I think it kind of, in a way, help. I mean, it's sort of the kind of comedian that I am. I sort of run towards danger. I'm not afraid of it. The thing about it that's hard to talk about, even though I've talked about it before, I keep saying it's hard to talk about, and then I talk about it. But like, it was a terrible day, but the other part of it is that it was a great day because I made it. I survived. And so I have this kind of weird thing where there's nothing more exciting than to survive something that they say you can't survive. And it's like comedy, where people say, "Oh, you can't make a joke about that. You're not allowed to talk about that." And that to me is like a red flag to a bull. They always say red flag stop, but when you're a bull, it means go.
Right.
And I always think, you know what? I think I can. I remember one of the most, how do I explain it? One of the greatest laughs I ever got was when we were hiding.
In 1975?
Yeah.
Like during the Brampton Centennial Secondary School shooting.
Yes.
You were telling jokes?
Yes. Because I remember the principal came on, and he was telling us to stay where we were and explaining, not really, just saying there was gunmen. We thought there were 3 gunmen. And he was telling us, keeping us calm. But you could hear him, he had a crack in his voice, and he wasn't crying, but he was about to cry. And when he finished, I remember saying, "Well, it's certainly no Churchill." And I got a big laugh. And I think that's the laugh I've been looking for my whole life.
I'm no psychiatrist.
Yeah, I know. I mean, please don't diagnose me here.
No, it's not diagnosis. It's more of the fact that in this heightened, I mean, most people are shitting bricks at this point, right? Pissing their pants.
Well, I was doing that as well, but my coping mechanism is to tell jokes.
Right.
But honestly, I didn't panic. I didn't fall apart. I was really proud of myself. Like, I just, I'm a pretty hysterical person. I don't mean I'm funny. I mean I'm but I was quite together. And I don't know. I just thought it was, I remember another funny thing was, about half an hour into it, we still weren't being rescued. I opened my lunch because I was hungry. And I remember eating an egg salad sandwich and someone going like, "Jesus, stop it. Can't you have something less smelly?"
Scott, how can you have an appetite?
Well, I was hungry. And there was this guy that I remember, he was really a big tough guy, and he was crying. He was a mess. And I remember... here's the thing, Mike. I was in shock. Was in shock.
But one response, because I just had a woman named Arlene Bishop over who woke up one morning and beside her, and her boyfriend was dead.
Dead.
Dead. And she described in great detail, sitting in the very seat you're sitting. She talked about being unable to remember what number you call to get 911.
That makes sense.
You know, and Meanwhile, you have the wherewithal to make a very funny joke. You're now going to eat. This is the best part. And the classroom that I had run into, that the teacher had thrown me into, was the very same classroom that my younger brother had run out of. And we looked close enough. We looked enough alike that he thought I was him. And about 20 minutes into it, the teacher went, "Wait, you're not Dean." And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not? That's his name." And I go, "I'm Scott." He goes, "Oh, geez, where's Dean?" Because Dean had run out when the shooting had begun. And so the whole time I'm thinking, well, I don't know, my brother might be dead. And I don't know. I just... I get the trauma that you're...
It's trauma.
On the live stream, Andrew Ward is actually watching live, and his dad was there. So you were witness to this shooting.
I know his dad.
Yeah. And Andrew's sharing that his father won't talk about it.
Lots of people won't. I think that's why I'm here. I have a movie. I've been writing this movie. It's called Dance with My Bones. I've been writing it since the day after Columbine. When Columbine happened, I was in Los Angeles, and I was making the only sitcom pilot that I had ever done, and it was my first day of shooting. And I remember arriving at the studio, and everybody was, clustered around the television, and they were watching Columbine. I remember I had this incredible, I don't know, I don't call it triggering, but I just had this, I looked at the kids, and they looked a lot like us.
Sure.
And I went, oh, I had this moment of like, wow, what's happening? And that night I had a dream where my teacher, her name was Margaret Wright, Mrs. Wright, because you never would call a teacher by their first name.
Right.
And she came to me in a dream, and she said, she knocked on the door, and I was partying. I was up to no good. I went to the door, and there she was. And she said, "Scott, I want you to dance with my bones." And I woke up, and I wrote it down. And the next morning when I woke up and looked at that, I went, oh, she wants me to write something to show her that what happened didn't happen for naught. Like to let her know that what happened that day, it wasn't, how do I explain that there was some good that came out of it, and to show her that I had become a writer, because she was my English teacher and she had encouraged me to write. She was the first person in my life, first teacher that had seen that I had talent, and I was always in trouble, and she would always, I have a lot of detentions, and whenever I'd have a detention, she'd make me write a poem. And if she liked the poem, she'd let me out early. So he killed her. And then, so that's a big deal when, and so I basically, that next day, I just started writing. I had no idea what I was going to write, but I just knew that I would eventually write a film or a novel about, inspired by this day, that would show her that I had done well. And I've been writing it ever since. That's over 25 years. And now it is finally starting to move. And I have some producers that are really interested in making this film. And it looks like it's going to happen.
It must be very cathartic for you.
Incredible. It's been like ever since that day I went, when I first started writing, I don't know how to write a screenplay. I don't even know how I'm going to do it. But I've just been writing and writing and writing and just changing it and figuring it out and trying to figure out every day, trying to figure out what she was telling me. Because at one point, about halfway into it, about 12 years into writing it, I realized that I had not been dancing with her bones. I'd just been showing her bones. And I realized that what I had written was a memoir. And people were kind of, I don't know how to explain it. They read it and go, well, it's wonderful, but we can't make this. And it scared people. And also I realized that it was too inside baseball, that I had to open it up and I had to invent things and dance with her bones. And that was a big revelation to me. Oh, I don't have to be a slave to the truth. All I have to be a slave to is the story and
the spirit,
the spirit.
Right.
And so that kind of helped me go, okay, I don't have to be exact. I can create something that's that came from it. My inspiration were like the Stand By Me and movies like that. And that's what's happened. And now people are really liking it. And I think it's going to happen. My goal is to direct it. That's what I want to do.